Larry, good to see you again. It's early, almost mid-March now. We've got a couple months of data now to look at. We've got February numbers, and I know both of us are coming off colds. My voice is going to sound a bit off still in this video, but that's okay. What are you seeing out there? I think from my point of view, it's been, I mean, relatively positive in a couple areas of our statistical analysis, but overall, not a heck of a lot to report.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same. Obviously, January was a very slow month, and they blamed it a bit on the weather. Whether or
Hmm.
not that was a factor or not, we did see a little bit of a bounce back in February, not nearly enough to account for the weather. I think more in line with seasonal change.
Yeah.
We did see I won't say decline, but we didn't see the number of listings hitting the market that were expected, so that kept our inventory lower. We did get that little bump in sales, so we did have a
Hmm.
shift there. If you look strictly at sales and price, I would say we were fairly flat. But when you look at some other metrics, like months of inventory or active listings on the market, we did see a change there simply because of some of those other parameters. So it's a bit deceiving. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad to it, I guess, either depending which angle you want to look at it from. But overall, I'm going to say that it's a little bit more what we've been experiencing all along. There hasn't been a big change.
Yeah, I think one of the positives, if we can find one in there, really is that it didn't deteriorate significantly. Like we're not coming to this video with a lot of bad news. It's, as you say, more of the same.
Yeah, I mean overall,
Months of inventory actually ticked down a little bit in most communities.
they did, and I'm still trying to dive into where that came from. Was that from expiries? I mean, I know we had a little bump in sales, but not enough to make the shift that we saw.
Right.
Were those expiries not being renewed? Did more inventory cancel? I don't quite know the full scope of that yet. I'm still kind of digging into those numbers, but we've definitely seen a little slide in the amount of inventory we've been carrying.
I wonder if some of the canceled listings that haven't come back yet, if they've changed their strategy or they're contemplating what their new strategy may be, and for that reason they haven't come back. Maybe they're looking to spring. And a lot of people think spring is the best time to list, and for some reasons and in some markets it may be. But the best time to list and the best time to sell ultimately is when demand is high, and we don't have high demand right now. So if you have a lot of listings coming to market in spring, as typically we see, and buyers don't keep pace, that could be a challenge for our spring market.
Yeah, I mean that could be part of it. Some people coming off thinking, okay, let's hit the pause button and jump back on when the spring market hits. But John, we haven't seen a spring market jump in the last couple of years,
No.
and with the way sales have been trending, I mean the messaging has been just be on the market. It's you're not going to sell a home that's not listed because people don't know you're for sale. Obviously, if you're not
Right.
listed, and if you are listed, you don't know when your buyer is going to come by and look at it. So it's
No,
frustrating. It's driving up those days on the market. But if you want to get sold, you got to get out in front of people. And this is a different market we're in. So unfortunately, it's a longer road, and I'm seeing a lot of
well,
people hold.
it's one of those situations where you just kind of have to read the room and
Yeah,
work with the market you've got. And that's going to mean pricing it appropriately for current market, current demand, current months of inventory. And obviously you got to present it right. That goes without saying, or at least it should.
yeah.
But um, but yeah, if you can't sell it if you're not on the market.
Well, exactly. John, one of the stats we actually hadn't talked a bit about, and it just kind of came into my head, is I did see that the number of showings have declined considerably out there as well. So,
Yeah, it peaked up nicely mid-January to mid-February, and it's kind of fallen back a bit.
yeah, so that number of showings we were seeing has dropped off. Now, again, the messaging that I'm hearing from people I'm talking to and seeing in my own listings is, we're seeing a slower showing market out there. We're not seeing that, five, six, seven showings a week. We're lucky sometimes to get one or two a week
Yeah.
on a listing, and if that sometimes. But the messaging we're also getting back from those showings is a lack of sense of urgency from buyers, and that just feeds back into that buyer confidence messaging that's out there from the whole economy. I mean, the buyer confidence is down, and I don't know about you, what you're hearing from agents you're dealing with, but the messaging I'm hearing is that there's just not a big sense of urgency for somebody to make a move unless it's a damn good deal on a property that really checks all the boxes
Yeah.
and they feel like they got to get it before somebody else does. But I'm not getting that vibe right now.
No, and those properties and situations will always exist in any market, but overall, that's not really what we're seeing. And what we're seeing is that quiet market with buyers lacking confidence, sitting on the sidelines, and even those who are in the market and considering making a move,
Yeah,
they've got choice.
they do,
And when you
and
have
it's
choice, if you have the ability to wait, you have the ability to put in an offer that suits you and maybe not the seller, so it doesn't go anywhere. And and if it doesn't work out, they move on to the next one.
yeah. So I think the messaging that you know we both kind of agree on there is visibility is the most important thing right now. Be on the market, be out there so that if there is a buyer looking in your area, your home is one they're going to consider. And at the end of the day, it's going to come down ultimately today. Price is going to be a challenge no matter what you have. Everybody's going to come in and challenge on price because everybody's looking for that deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, I
Yeah.
see that across the board, even from a buyer perspective. I mean, people might see a house and fall in love with it, but the first question I get is, well, how cheap do you think we can get it?
Oh, yeah. The automatic assumption is that whatever the list price is isn't the right price,
Yeah, that's nobody's
which
going
isn't
to.
always which isn't always accurate.
But quite honestly, I mean, even from my own perspective, when I have buyer agents call me up and say, "Hey, my clients like the place," or it's still on their list. Where are you on price? I'm sorry, man. We don't have a number to throw out right now. My price is the list price we have. If you'd like to enter and start the negotiations at a different number, put the number on paper and let's get that ball
Yeah.
rolling. But we're not going to do this verbally just so you can figure out what's going on. And
At
that's
the end
key
of the,
perspective, man.
the silly thing about that strategy is you're not the guy that can make the decision.
Yeah.
It's the seller.
Well, not only that, John. I mean, what I found as well is unfortunately, I mean, sometimes it is a buyer just thinking, you know what, it's over our budget or we can't afford it, but if we could get it at this number, we'd be interested or closer to this number. Then put the number on paper. If you want to be taken seriously, put it on paper.
Yeah.
The other thing, unfortunately, I've had is I've had a couple of agents that have come in and looked at my listing and they call me up after. I mean, first response you get is it's overpriced. I mean, that's the first thing they say in the automated
It doesn't
comments.
matter what the number is, it's always overpriced, right?
Yeah, doesn't matter what it is. But then the question becomes, how do you feel on price? Have you had a lot of activity? Have you had any offers? And then all of a sudden, a week later, I see that agent pop up with a listing around the corner. So I don't play those games anymore with them. And an agent should know the difference. If you have a serious buyer that's looking at the property and whatever their number is, you put it on paper and then we're going to negotiate. If you're going to call me up and ask me what my client's willing to sell the home for, go back and look at the listing and see what the list price is, and that's our starting volley. We put our number out there. Now you put your number up.
Well, and when it's on paper, now you've got something you can take back that's tangible to your client to have conversation and figure out what your counter offer is going to look like.
Exactly.
But without
Verbally
it,
doesn't work.
no.
So, I mean, that's not just, I guess that's a message to agents out there. They should know the difference, but that's also a message out there to buyers and sellers. I mean, don't get sucked into that game of having to verbally negotiate with somebody who hasn't put any skin in the game yet.
No, and it doesn't mean your seller won't negotiate with them, but
No,
you give them
but
something
you've
to work
given me
with.
nothing to negotiate at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something I've seen over the last little while. It's actually been a bit annoying trying to field those
Hmm.
calls and have those conversations. But, at the end of the day, this is a different market than it was 5 years ago. So we have to handle it in a different approach, and it's not as much fun for our clients when especially if you bought a home 5 years ago where you were in a position where you were desperate and you were amongst multiple offers trying to get your home, and now you're sitting here on the other end saying, well, how come I don't have 12 people lined up to buy my home? It's
Well,
nothing to
and
do with
and
your home; it has to do with the market.
yeah, no, exactly. And 5 years ago, chances are, shortly thereafter, maybe say 4 years ago, they were in a positive equity position, and that's been eroded.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's
it's
been
tough.
one of the things that I've seen a lot of out there is the amount of properties being sold. I mean, far off the numbers they would have got in 2022, but it's sad to see the amount of homes that were bought in 21, 22 that unfortunately, unforeseen to anybody, the market continued to go down farther than anybody had anticipated. And a lot of these people are sitting in a position where they're going to lose some money.
Yeah,
The only consolation to that is if they are going to be buying something else, well, the home you're going to buy is going to be cheaper than what you would buy in the upswing market as well. So
well, yeah, for sure.
if you're selling your house and you're losing 200,000, the one you're buying is probably in your eyes you're losing 200,000. The one you're buying is going to be off that same percentage or more,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Well,
So
speaking of how the market will respond going forward, we've got a rate announcement coming next week, so we'll have more to share on that, I guess, next time we chat. And
prediction,
I think they'll hold.
I think so too. I mean, a lot's changed since the last one. There's war in the Middle
Well,
East
yeah,
now.
yeah. I think the war in Iran, if it drags on, you're going to see inflationary effect as a result of oil, and that has the potential to impact our rates on both variable tied to Bank of Canada rate and then the bond market for fixed. So,
Absolutely.
hopefully we don't have any negative. Hopefully the war ends quickly.
Yeah,
Um, but hopefully we don't have any more negative factors impacting our market.
for sure. Well, I mean, there's a lot going on there again, once again, and they're all gonna play into the market. And I didn't want people to think that this is all targeted on real estate. I mean, the economy as a whole is feeling the effect. I mean,
Oh,
gas
yeah.
has gone up. I mean, obviously because of the war,
Hmm.
fuel has gone up. Now every other cost around that's going to go up because transportation costs are going up. Airlines start announcing their prices are going up, and it'll be
Yeah,
a trickle
shipping,
effect. And there's your
that'll impact
inflation
your
you're talking
groceries.
about. Yeah, and that's your inflation you're talking about. And the next thing
Yeah.
you know, to offset that, what does the Bank of Canada do? They increase rates.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of things there to take into consideration that are all going to come down on our economy, and unfortunately, real estate as a part of that economy is going to feel the effects as well.
Hmm.
So if you are in a position you
So,
got to sell, make sure you're looking at the market and what you're doing. And again, I don't think we've hit bottom. I don't think the market's bottomed out. Um, and waiting is not exactly the best strategy unless you've got a long-term strategy, 5+ years you can wait. I think you might see some returns by then, but again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know.
no, yeah, like you said, unless you're planning to wait a longer timeline, I work with the market you got.
So, but you know what? If someone had asked me in January 2020 what I thought was going to happen in the market in the next 4 months, then I certainly wouldn't have forecasted what
No,
did happen.
no.
Right? So, um, you can just take
That's
it day by
it.
day.
Less predictable times we're in, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, and you can't regret what it is, man. If you're going to sell today in this market, and if the market does come back in 3 years' time, yeah, you can look back and say, oh, we could have got 100,000 more for our home if we had waited. Yeah, but the house you bought, you probably would have paid one
You
or
pay
two hundred
more for,
thousand
yeah,
dollars more for as well. So just keep that in mind, um, because that's the way real estate works.
always will.
Yeah.
Well, until our next time on a video here, which will
I'm getting
be,
excited for when we can actually share some different news, man.
I know I'm waiting for that one where we got a good news story, but
Yeah, man,
these
it's
days
getting
it
a bit
feels
long in the
like
tooth.
we started this one talking about how there was a little bit of good news, and really it's just we didn't have a lot of bad news. It's
Well,
like
that's
it's
it,
like when
man.
you go to the
You
casino and
bet.
play blackjack, right? It's like, you
Yeah,
push with the dealer, like that's kind of like a win.
yeah.
So,
Well, that's it, man. I'm about ready for some change. I don't know about you, but I could use some change in this business, in this
mhm.
market.
Well, hopefully we'll have it next time. So
Absolutely.
till then, happy selling, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man. All the best.
Okay, see ya.